Hi there, my name is Renee, and today I'm going to share with you a tutorial on how you can create your own QR codes. So if you're not familiar with a QR code, let me show you what I mean. This is what a QR code looks like. You've probably seen these on marketing or print materials, especially for a lot of products. I've even seen these on cereal boxes. So QR codes can be used to send a user to a link that may do something. So for example, I might send someone with this QR code is sending them to a link to my website so they can shop. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to create a QR code using a link to a Google form. So any URL or website that you can go to, you can use that to create any kind of QR code to send people information. All users need to have in order to access or do something with this QR code is either a QR code scanner app, which most phones come with something like that these days, or you can download free ones really easily. In fact, if you have a new iPhone update or an iPhone with a most recent update, you don't even have to have a separate app. iPhone users can now use their camera app, also acts as a scanner tool. So all you have to do is open the camera app as if you're going to take a picture of something. And once the camera focuses on that QR code, it should open up a link to whatever the QR code is sending you to. So for my example here, if you were to scan this with your iPhone app, in fact, you could do it right now while you're watching this tutorial. Once it focuses on that, it'll send you to that link to that website. So that's just an example of some things that you can do with QR codes and reading them and sending them and using them. For this last weekend, I created a QR code for a vendor event that I attended and set up a shop, and I had a giveaway. So I wanted people to enter a raffle, and I created an electronic form, a Google form that people could use. So all they had to do was come up and scan that QR code with their phone in hand and fill out that form really quickly right there while standing in front of my booth. Now, just a nice little sales note for you. I went ahead and let customers know once they filled out that form and had their phone in their hand and the camera already open, I said, hey, while you have that open, just go ahead and take a picture of your favorite products that you really like so you'll remember if you're not going to buy it here today. So that's just a nice little fun tidbit and piece of information that you can use for those of us trying to sell out there. For today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and show you with the QRCodeGenerator.com. This is an app that I like to use to create my QR codes, and I'll just share with you guys, I have no affiliation with this app whatsoever. It's just one that I've found and trusted for quite some time, and I'll share with you guys a little horror story of something that happened to me about a year or so ago. I used another free QR code generator, and it created really beautiful QR codes, and I used it on my business cards, on print materials that I sent out to customers, that I handed out to customers, flyers, things like that, postcards. All those kinds of materials included that QR code. Well, a few months later, I was testing that QR code, and lo and behold, I found that it wasn't working anymore. Instead, it directed me back to my account for that app, that code generator app that I had used. And now it was telling me that I wanted to use that QR code, I would now have to pay $15 a month to keep it. So I was hugely disappointed and felt like I had basically been scammed or blackmailed into using this QR code that I printed all over all of my materials, and it was now basically worthless. So just a little lesson for you. Make sure that you do research and review any QR code generators out there that you use, and be very mindful of that. QR codes really in and of themselves probably are not intended to be used for something forever. It's really more of kind of a dynamic, kind of fast-paced, changing kind of thing. So just kind of be mindful of that as you're creating your QR codes. A great example of something that you can use a QR code for is, especially for those of you like me in direct sales, if you have in-home parties where you have different hosts or hostesses who have special links that people need to shop from, this is a great example of how you can create QR codes for something like that. So instead of someone having to manually type in these really long links, you can create a QR code that people can then scan and it'll take them directly to that link. So let me show you how you can create yours. You'll notice over here, I'm already logged in with my account. Again, you'll have to have a Google account to use this particular code generator. I'm logged in with one of my Google account names where I've created some stuff for tutorials. And I already have this QR code generated, but what I'm going to do is create a new one today, and I'll show you how you'll create a brand new one if you're doing this for the first time. So you would go into My Codes or Generate, and then what you can do is click on this plus sign, and you'll see that it says Create Dynamic Code. So we'll give it a moment to open, and once it opens, it creates a brand new code just for us. So this is a brand new QR code, and I want to go ahead and type in some text information so I can remember what I'm creating this for. So this one, we'll just call it raffle entry form because I'll use my link to that to show you guys how we created that. So raffle entry form. And I'm going to save that under the free text or the information. The next and probably most important information is this URL link. So any link, any website address, maybe your store, your shop, anywhere that you want to send them to. For my purposes for today, I want to actually send them to a link to a Google form. So I'm going to go into my Google Forms that I already have this open. I'm just going to copy the link and paste it over here. And I'll show you some other options that you have to add to your QR code. Again, this just is information that gets associated with this QR code. Anytime someone scans this, this is information that they'll have with it. You can fill that out. For my purposes, I'm not really worried about any of that. I just wanted to show it to you so you can see your options. You can enter a phone number, text information, all that good stuff. So we have raffle entry form, we have our URL. The next thing we want to do is save this, where it's going to save it to our computer or whatever device you're doing this from. So we have save over here, but before we click on save, I do want to show you that you do have some options when you're saving it. Now the default, if you just clicked save, it's going to default it to the quality is going to be 200 pixels. For my purposes, a lot of times I'm using these for print materials, so I might bump that up to 600 pixels, and you'll notice it's going to display lower, but the saved file will be 600 pixels. I do want to show you this other option here. If you click this no margin box and look down at the image, you'll see that it changes and takes that frame around it. Now, I will say that I do think that I personally prefer to leave that margin around it. And I'll tell you why, especially if you're printing this on a non-white background, the scanner app is going to have a hard time focusing on that if it's not a white or light background. So just for graphic upload print ability, making sure that it works well, I'm going to keep that margin around it. So that's my personal preference. If you're printing it on something else and you find that you want to remove that, that might be more beneficial for you to remove it. But again, for my purposes, I want to leave it with the margin around it. So once I've made those changes, I'm going to go ahead and save it and give it a name. And again, I'll call it raffle entry form. And then once I click save, this is just going to go ahead and download it to my computer or device. So that is what you have. That's how you create your own QR code that you can use for your marketing and materials and purposes. And you'll notice if we go back over here and click on My Codes, we've added this new one, which is the Google Forms. Just one last thing I want to show you before I close out this tutorial is once you have your codes saved here, every time you log into your account and click on My Codes, this is where all of your codes will show up. And they'll stay here forever until you delete them. But once you go into this and click here, you'll notice that it's going to take you into some analytics or statistics that you'll see there. So that's kind of cool. Once you have some statistics there, you'll have something that you can see. One last thing that we can do is we can change the name. Oh, sorry, let me go back here. We can change the name of, oh, here we go. We can change the name of the QR code that we just created, and I'll call this one Raffle Entry Form. Instead of it saying My Awesome Code up here, now it says Raffle Entry Form. So here we have Raffle Entry Form. This is going to send us to that link, and you should have it saved to your desktop or your computer, whatever device you're using, and then you can use that in any print materials or electronic or social media accounts that you want to upload it. So I hope this helps you learn how to create your own QR code, and you can use it to help grow your business. If you have any questions, feel free to place them in the comments, and I'll try to answer those for you. Thanks for watching.